Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is a little different than what I have done before, but I felt really drawn to do it in the last couple of days, and so I decided to do it, and maybe it will be a help to somebody who watches the video. So today I am going to be giving you my personal testimony, and you may be surprised, you may not, but we all have a story, and I'm going to tell you mine. Now, I realize that I can't tell you everything and all the details because we would be here for ages. I'm just going to give you a general testimony because I want to make sure to get the points across that matter the most. So, okay, so my story, my testimony kind of starts in March of 2002. I found myself spiraling out of control. I was living away from home, around no family. I had some pretty bad unhappiness, depression, and I was doing anything and everything I could to try to treat that myself. I was just in a really dark place. I really believed as a 20-year-old that if I could make money and have things that would fulfill me and make me happy. And that was definitely not the case for me. And I would wholeheartedly believe that that does not bring happiness. But as a 20-year-old, that was what was important to me. And in the pursuit of things and keep getting better jobs, working way more hours, just in the process of everything, I found myself broken, completely broken. In March of 2002, I did not even think it was worth doing anymore. I thought I was better off just checking out. Because it would just, I had dug the hole so deep. And I always say, if I'm giving my testimony in church, I always say that I blame nobody but myself for the position that I found myself in at that time. But needless to say, I was desperate and I didn't know what to do. I had unfortunately reached a place in my life where I was agnostic. I don't want to say I blamed God for what my life had turned out to be, but I was just indifferent to God at that time. And so I didn't really, like, calling out to him was not like on my radar because I just didn't feel like that would do anything for me. And but I had reached the flat bottom, and God sent a lot to me. He sent my parents to me, and I guess my story kind of can be compared to like a prodigal. I thought that my family would be so ashamed of me and where I was that they would never want anything to do with me again. And of course, that is ridiculous. I mean, there may be cases where that's true, but I should have known better. But I was just wallowing in this depression, but instead of scolding me and telling me, we're ashamed of you and you can't, you know, come with us because you're in this terrible shape. They they told me that I could come home. And in April of 2002, I came back home again. And it's so weird because 22 years, over 22 years, and the emotions are just as raw as they were 22 years ago. And so, but I came home and I gave up. I was thinking about this yesterday. My husband and I went for a bike ride, and I always pray and I think, and I was thinking about how I gave up my career. I had worked really hard to get the job that I had, and I worked really hard on that job. I had aspirations to go back to school, and I just walked away from everything and came back home. And I pretty much didn't have anything. I had kind of squandered the money, and I had things, but I came home pretty much just me and my clothes and a few things. And I didn't know, what I was going to do with my life at that point. But I knew I couldn't keep doing what I was doing. And so I went back to get things after I came here initially. And on the way home, it was like, I don't know if I should be doing this because I get so emotional. I was going to try to hold it together, but I was driving down the interstate and I saw a sign that said rest stop 1 mile ahead, and something just happened. It's like I could hear a voice saying, this is it. This is it. And I pulled into the rest stop, and I really didn't know what to say or how to pray or anything. I just said, help me. And everything changed for the first time. I felt like I could have a good life and happiness. Sorry, my battery died. But I felt like for the first time that I could actually know what it felt like to be really happy and not always, fighting within myself. And I was fully aware that my life had just totally changed in a minute, and it was overwhelming because I didn't know. I had no idea what was going to happen, but for the first time, it didn't matter. I felt like it was going to be just fine. And so I was home for just a little while. I had to get well. I wasn't well when I moved back. And my parents gave me that time to get well. And I started looking for work, and I found a job that I loved. And I kept for a long time. I actually still was working in that same office when I met my husband 5 years later. But I was thinking yesterday, and it just overwhelmed me. Just like beyond overwhelming. Everything that I thought I was giving up to move back here, God restored over and over and over again. And I'm not talking about money and things, because that didn't matter anymore. I'm talking about comfort, joy, peace, relationships with my family. He just restored everything, and I became a whole person for the first time. And I was happy. I was finally happy. And not too long after I moved back, I think my dad was telling me it would be good for me to like maybe learn an instrument. It's just something like that's really good when you're healing in your mind. And so I started playing the mandolin, and in 2005, late 2005, my mom and dad and myself started kind of going to churches and singing and playing music. And the first church that we sang and played music at was my husband's home church. And so that's how we met. And we did not start dating until the next year, 2006, and then we got married in 2007. And so I just never dreamed that I would have the life that I have 22 years ago. To me, life was over. There was no hope. There was no happiness. There was nothing. And I never dreamed that I would actually have the peace and joy and happiness that I had. I never thought I would be baking sourdough bread and being a homemaker and, sharing that with people. But it's amazing what God can do if you just submit to Him and to His will and trust Him, because He shows us over and over again how faithful that He is. But as humans, we forget. Each time something happens, how's this going to work out? And we forget that He works it out every time. And I'm so thankful for that. So I hope that this testimony will be inspiring if you are struggling like I was, to just surrender it to God and watch what He can do with your life. Watch what He can do with your life. I hope that it was something that will lift you up today, because my story is like so many other stories. And sometimes I don't think we share them enough because maybe we're ashamed. But I don't know why. I just felt really drawn to share this, even though this channel is not about, me talking about my, these types of things in general. I think that sometimes you see people on social media and you wonder, what their life was like before they were on social media. And I think it's important to tell you, so that you know where I came from and how I became the person that I am in front of the camera, talking to you. So, but that's all I have for you today. I hope that it was, something that made you think maybe about your own story and refresh that emotion that we all should feel, that rush of emotion that reminds us what God has brought us from, what He can do for us, and all to His glory. Because I know what I was before on my own, and I made a big mess of it. And so, anyways, I just wanted to share that with you all today. And I sincerely pray that it was a blessing to you on this day. All right, well, I'm going to sign off, and I will see you all on the next video.